guys, this is TheBassSinger 3 here, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Compare and Contrast, where we put in two separate games and compete to see which one is superior. In this week's episode, we are comparing Ninja Gaiden 3 and Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge. One is a vanilla version that was released on launch day, and another is a supposedly improved combat system with more content. So, which one is better?
It hurt.
Razor's Edge.
Yep, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. This game is pretty bad. I know the series usually announces the winner at the end, but if you play these two games back to back, the comparisons are just night and day. Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge is by far the superior way to play Ninja Gaiden 3, and by playing the original vanilla, you are robbing yourself of the enjoyment you would have garnered if you played Razor's Edge.
However, this series is indeed called Compare and Contrast, so it is my duty to spot the differences between the two and see if those issues actually come to light. Does Razor's Edge actually improve a lot of the vanilla version's issues, or does it not do too much, so you shouldn't really bother with it anyways? This is Ninja Gaiden 3 versus Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge.
London is in danger, and under the guidelines of the government officials Mizuki McLeod and Ishigami, they ask Ryu Hayabusa to help out with the operation. The mission is to rescue the Prime Minister of London and arrest its perpetrators. Speaking of whom, they also have some sort of interest with Ryu as well. With no other choice, Ryu heads out and investigates as the mysterious masked assailant straight up kills the Prime Minister during the investigation. Isn't that like two games that showcase high authority being slaughtered all of a sudden? What the hell? What's with these coincidences? We face up against him, and despite actually beating his ass in the boss battle, Ryu's arm is infected with a curse called the Murder's Grip, where Ryu is forced to be a non-stop killing machine in order to survive, thanks to it being infused with his dragon sword. Missiles invade the city, but Ryu escapes alive. After being transported back safely into headquarters, we are met with Cliff, Mizuki's brother-in-law, and Kana, Mizuki's adopted daughter and Cliff's uncle-in-law. This is some extreme levels of bring your daughter to work day, what the hell?
Okay, class, it's time for career day. Kana, what does your mother do?
She kills people!
What the fuck? Anyway, she's here because, in the context of this scene, she wants to hang out with her mommy more, but for the entirety of the game, she's a damsel in distress. Yeah, I'm spoiling this build-up, but they make it way too obvious. There is no reason for this little girl to be on board to the headquarters of the CIA, unless she's some sort of mastermind intellect, and Kana is as bubbly, kid-friendly as a Barney episode. Suspicion also aroused as Cliff states that there's something wrong with this operation and Ishigami might be the mole within the operation to sabotage the plan.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah, the game makes it way too obvious about its tricks and surprises. I think there's only one instance where I legitimately got caught off guard, but for the most part, every time something is hinted, it's fairly certain that your first instinctual thought is the right one, and it's very tiresome. I am not easily impressed with this plotline at all. We're off to the desert. As Ayane appears amidst with a desert wind, we're able to get a replacement sword thanks to Hayate, another ninja from the ninja clan, alongside a new bow and arrow for projectile use. We encounter the masked man, once again exemplifying the curse held within Ryu's arm and amplifying it, and then a helicopter attacks us. We destroy it, and I feel as though this chapter was a complete waste of time. We're off to a jungle in order to infiltrate the enemy base, and upon entry, we see as though the bad guys are planning to use DNA cloning to their advantage, and as proof, they recreated a T-Rex for Ryu to fight. Afterwards, they have taken Mizuki hostage as they ask Ryu to surrender or dies, but they forgot one important thing, and that's the fact that he's a damn ninja. No duh he could kill them and free Mizuki. Jesus, what a bunch of dumbasses. But what makes this even more dumbfounding is that Mizuki actually betrays Ryu and tranquilizes him.
Oh, I get it. It's a callback from the NES Ninja Gaiden game. Get it? Get it? See, it's because of how similar it is with the tranquilizer. Please love us!
But seriously, why even have those guards pretend to kidnap her if Mizuki's gonna trank him in the first place? Those two soldiers were just 2 days away from retirement. So, we awaken into a virtual reality base ran by this woman named Lovelace. Holy crap, it's just like Ninja Gaiden 2 for Xbox 360. Guys, we are totally for the fans. Get it? We've got references! Look, game, there's actually appreciating the references and integrating them within the story, and there's just forcing them, covering up the negative aspects of the story. And this is the latter. We escape, we rescue Kana, rescue Mizuki, and face off the bad guy who kills the bad woman, defeat her, and we escape alongside Kana and Mizuki. During our escape, we got captured, this time during the CIA, as what we did was against regulations despite our good intentions. So Ryu gets deported back to the village, and Kana, Mizuki, and Cliff depart their own ways. While on our way back to the village, we collapsed, but thankfully a little kid named Sanji found us and led Ryu to safety. Our arm is still messed up, but thanks to Momiji's magic, we were able to subdue the urge to kill for a limited time. But in other matters at hand, the evil witch from the Black Spider Underclan seems to be the talk of the town and haunting the village, so it is up to Ryu and Momiji to take care of her, and we do so with haste. Joe Hayabusa, Ryu's father, explains that in order to get rid of the curse coming out of his arm, he must force it out from the original curse maker, so we had to head back to the base in order to chase after the masked man once again. However, of course, since we are still under suspicion of the LOA, we need to do this incognito style. This time we are accompanied by Cliff because he wants to be the hero of the story, while Mizuki gets to guard Kana. Before we leave, Kana gives us an origami ninja star that she made in order to commemorate our friendship. Throughout the Antarctic adventure, we stumble across the underground hidden facility, only to find out that Cliff's surprise, is one of the lead operatives of LOA alongside his grandfather. They plan on summoning a goddess-like entity and rebirth the world, and in order to do so, they need Ryu's DNA and Kana's body in order to combine the two genetics in order to make the creation among a goddess. How do they plan on doing that? By kidnapping Kana, of course, as all Mizuki had to do was look after your own damn daughter! And yet you failed to do so? You left her in a different room? This isn't a 5-star mansion, you idiot! This is a military base! Don't leave your daughter there!
My god. This woman. This CIA operative woman can't even look after her own daughter. Your horrible mother. Call special services.
We escaped the collapsing underground facility as we were rescued by Ishigami, the man who we originally thought to be the Vector, but in actuality was caught under the blue over this. Our next mission is to rescue back Kana as she is hidden inside a ship which we infiltrate after blowing up plenty of anti-aircrafts, also killing Cliff's grandfather. Inside we face against the masked man and finally eliminate him, but after unmasking him, we found out that he's actually Kana's father, and Kana is not happy about it. Okay, first off, you bitch. We didn't know that was your dad. He was trying to kill us the entirety of the game. How the hell were we supposed to know that? And second of all, fuck you! Is she just unaware about the situation she's in? Did she not realize that the bad guys tried to kidnap her, including the masked man? There's so many leaps of emotions that it's just cranking her brain into 11. Is she brainwashed? Is she under an elusive spell? We never know because the game never tells us. She just calls us murderers. That's basically it. Even despite all the trust that they've been building up, she's blaming us for being tricked into killing her father, who was established has already died? That's an easy fix to this. Instead of giving us this trust issues, just activate her emotions by seeing her dead father. There's no need to call us a murderer or anything. This just contradicts the trust between me and Kana. What the fuck? She's really going to believe the people that try to kidnap her over the person that's trying to save her? God, what a major bitch.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to continue. This is the story. It's just giving me like a brain aneurysm, you know? It's like, this is like one of the worst stories I've ever witnessed in any video game. It's just, maybe some tea will help.
Okay, let's just roll with what we got. So, Kana becomes a gigantic monster bent on world domination and plays Godzilla with its citizens of Japan. While this is happening, Ryu rushes over to stop this mass hysteria, and on top of having bad guys go after us, dudes, whatever paychecks they're trying to pay you guys, it's not worth it. Jesus. We find Cliff, if he turns into Harry Potter, taking massive steroids and cocaine. We kill him, and the masked man, aka Kana's father, comes out to actually be alive! Somehow, just roll with it. Furthermore, he also removes a curse within Ryu's arm, although if you play this with a different costume, that doesn't really translate well. But eventually, we had to face him, knowing that we must eliminate Kana in order to save the world. Dude, I know he's your daughter and all, but your daughter is an evil Godzilla monster. I think killing her is a worthwhile option than just letting the world burn. We kill him, and it's time to face up against Kana, although this time, she didn't overreact to us killing her father. Again. Whatever. But she's still our friend, and we don't have the heart to kill her, so in order to save her and stop all this horror, we combine the Dragon Sword with the Ninja Star that Kana gave us when we were still buddies, and that somehow turns her back to normal? Did we just use the power of friendship to kill a god?
Nah.
Thus, we get a happy ending, as I guess Kana forgives us, and we look over Kana and Mizuki to protect them for the future. Okay, so, the plotline of Ryu's arm being infused with dark magic, pretty original, I guess. I like the idea that Ryu has such a dire situation at his hand, and it makes it more of a tragic hero than an actual hero. But it never really developed anywhere other than, oh right, I got a demon arm, maybe I should take a look at it, and it never does until the very end of the game. He just fixes it up because the bad guy is actually a good guy all along, I guess. The storyline in itself is overall too predictable, and by the end of the game I didn't really care about anyone except for my own character. Ryu and Kana is cute and all, and I will admit it's pretty endearing every time they interact with one another, but Kana fundamentally is nothing more than a stereotypical damsel in distress, and there's no reason for it. Mizuki is a dumbass for letting her daughter at work, and she should know better knowing Cliff has some sort of ulterior motive for, I don't know, bringing her daughter to work? Hire a damn babysitter, take her to a daycare, why bring her to a military base? It just makes no sense. Oh, my brain. It's forced, and because of that, it hinders my motivation to like these characters, especially when her emotions arises when she calls us murderers for all of a sudden listening to the bad guys and trusting them. All the new other characters introduced are not interesting at all, and all the old characters are just filler for references! Kana's father, when he was a masked man, was the closest thing to being an original character. I think his ideology of painting Ryu as a bloodthirsty murderer was very interesting. But as soon as it's revealed that he's actually Kana's father all this time, he becomes another stereotypically heroic character with a bad past. The one interesting and entertaining thing about this game is now gone. I hate to say this, but even Sonic Unleashed, a game that I reviewed 2 weeks ago, managed to make an end-of-the-world scenario work even with its brim share of issues. This is not how you make the end-of-the-world scenario, it's just all wrong.
Oh boy. That was a train wreck of a story. Mind you, Ninja Gaiden's strength, it's not really part of its story, but there was just so many plot holes, flaws, and overall downfounded tomfoolery that I just had to ask, was this all really necessary? As you guys can tell, I absolutely did not enjoy the story whatsoever, but what did Razor's Edge do to negate some of its issues? Well, not so much.
Some scenes are removed in order to paint Ryu in more of a heroic light, and really all that does is put a band-aid in an open wound. Kana still calls us a murderer for no reason. I think they really think that's going to hurt us in the fields, when in actuality it just pisses me off more. However, there are new missions that further expand the plot thanks to Ayane being a playable character. Ayane is doing nothing more than enjoying a relaxing beauty spa until she herself is invaded by terrorists, with one of them attempting to get it on, as it per se. However, he gets his dick chopped off as Ayane retaliates by, well, fighting back. Irene, a CIA mercenary, tasks us to eliminate 3 threats invading the Paris embassy. Afterwards, we locate the main source of the terrorists involved with the invasion, and eliminate 3 more experiments gone wrong, and wait, that's it? With our last line showcasing Irene wants to learn more about the Ninja Clan and helping them for the future cause? This doesn't really help too much with the core story at all. If anything, it's more of a separate story that happens alongside the main stories. But regardless of all that, I will gladly take this over the original any day. Ayane's story, while short, is entertaining at the very least. The interaction between her and Irene isn't brain dead, and they clearly have some sort of good sisterly bond with each other, even at the expense of Ayane's tsundere syndrome. It's a simple find the bad guy and kill him arc, and that's it. I know it's basic, but at the very least it's not a plot hole-ridden mess. I just wish that there was more to do with her, because the entire game she only appears in 2 missions. If they fleshed out the game a little more to include maybe 2 or 3 more missions, I think it would have been fine. It wouldn't nullify the idiocy of the original story, but at the very least it won't be painful. It's like getting a lollipop after a blood donation. It's a reward after getting a miserable experience.
As you can tell, the story is bad overall, and Razor's Edge didn't really do anything to improve much of it. So it's up to the gameplay to decide whether or not that's actually a good investment or not. And so does Razor's Edge actually improves on it? Why am I seeing doubles? Anyways, let's head to the gameplay and see if it warrants an update.
Alright, well, we can't play the game without going into the main menu, so let's start off the game. What the f*** is this? Why is everything sideways? This absolutely doesn't make any sense. Left doesn't even make you go left. You go down to go left. What the hell designed this main menu? Please tell me they improved it in Razor's. Oh, thank God. Now, looking at these 2 games side by side, you think that there's not really much of a difference, but oh boy, you'd be wrong. Okay, yeah, they essentially use the same game engine for both games, but Razor's Edge adds a lot more content towards your character's arsenal. That makes playing through the game much more fun. Both games include 2 attack buttons with a projectile attack using ninja stars, another projectile attack using your bows and arrows, a jump, and a dodge. This game has no targeting feature, but with the amount of enemies on screen, I don't think that's much of an issue. But for the original version, exclusively, what is an issue is the heavy button. It's practically useless. Previous Ninja Gaiden games have dismemberment and limbs falling off, and this was a great indication of when you can finish off your enemies, but here they remove the dismemberment, and furthermore, the light attack does more damage with precision and speed. I never use the heavy attack unless it's for a stealth kill or a quick time event. The same thing goes for the shurikens as well, they're really useless. Now bows and arrows on the other hand, they're absolutely broken for nearly every enemy. One shot, one kill. Speaking of the enemies, the majority of these enemies are just soldiers with guns and knives. There's a fair lack of enemy diversity. They do add some slowly over time, but you barely get to fight any of them until the final chapter. For 90% of the game, it's dudes and guns with swords, and no, these ninja enemies play exactly the same as the terrorists with the same suicide bomber move as well. There is no upgrade system, and you get all your weapons from the very beginning, so at the very least you get to use them immediately. But this brings up another issue I have with this game, and that is it's super easy. I didn't get to play hard mode, so maybe it gets harder from there, but normal mode is a monotonous button masher. The square button is the only thing you'll ever need in order to kill the enemies. And if you want more of an easy time fending yourself off, you can just literally run away. You don't even need to fight the enemies, you can just completely skip them and head to the next area. There are some moments where you are walled up and you can't progress until you eliminate all the enemies, but this baffles me. What kind of game lets you skip the enemies in the linear hack and slash game? Also, you want even more annoyance?
I don't want to die! 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 I don't want to die!
Hope you enjoy listening to the same voice clip over and over again. Not to say Razor's Edge has its fair shares of issues as well. They do at the very least nullify the annoying clicking sounds, although there is this one instance where it does happen, however it doesn't stay for too long. Other than that, I hope you found those removals worth it as instead of
I don't want to die!
the enemies now scream.
Fuck you! And fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Sheesh, if you guys want to fuck Ryu so badly, why don't you just search him up in a source filmmaking porn? Another negative I unfortunately have to state is the amount of frame rate issues I've seen. Good lord, if you thought Sonic Unleashed for PS3 was bad, you have not seen Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on Wii U. As much as I enjoyed this version more, this was an issue I kept encountering throughout Ryu's story throughout the entirety of the game. And I know for a fact it's not the Wii U's limitation at all. The Ionic stages plays flawlessly in 60 frames per second, and if this has to do with Ryu's character model coding or whatever, these extra missions where you fight in this virtual simulation and these story moments where Ryu tries to fight off against his demons also play in a flawless 60 frames per second manner. There's one moment where it did dip below, but other than that, the Ionic stages, evil stages, and extra stages were optimized very well for the Wii U's hardware, whereas the vanilla stages were just straight up ports with no polishing whatsoever. And to be fair, I heard that the Wii U version is not exactly the only version that has this issue too. I heard that the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions also suffer from the same frame rate issue as well. If you want to play this game in a full constant 60 frames per second, well, I hope you got a good running PC. I'm not sure exactly where to put this issue, but take a listen to this.
On the right.
Mizuki, what the hell? Are you trying to kill me or something? Even in the Razor's Edge version, this issue is not fixed yet.
On the right.
I know I've been mostly negative even with the updated Razor's Edge version, but let me make it absolutely clear that this version improves so many gameplay issues. For example, going back to these evil stages, in the original, it's just Ryu slowly chopping up enemies as they stand there and not fight. Whereas Razor's Edge replaces them with these kinds of stages where Ryu's teleported to his subconscious mind and slowly dwindles in HP unless his thirst for murder is quenched. This makes sense in both a gameplay and story perspective as it's an appreciated taste. Furthermore, if you want to get good at this game, you have to unlock more abilities and upgrades. Sure, you can go in without any of these or any extra weapons if you think you're strong enough, and it is a viable challenge, but this makes it so that killing enemies actually rewards you rather than making them an obstacle. You now have karma points. The more enemies you kill, the more points you get in order to increase your character's stats or to unlock more costumes. Furthermore, you know how annoying it is to initiate your key attacks and bloodlust attacks in the original? Your key attacks plays these unskippable cutscenes that are just very long-winded. Razor's Edge completely fixes this by having you actually aim the enemies rather than screen nuking them. And the bloodlust attacks are limited to only 2 or 3 enemies rather than the 5 and 7 enemies, and if you miss, well, tough shit, you f***ed up, and that's your punishment. This game makes it a lot more challenging and more punishing if you fail, whereas with the original version you just button mash and still win regardless of what you did. Also, dismemberment in the Razor's Edge version is back, making the triangle, or I guess in this case the X button, a lot more of a viable kill move. If your enemy is missing any limbs, press the heavy button on them and they will instantly die. No need to limit yourself to one button here. These dismemberments, God, they are so satisfying to pull off. It doesn't matter how many times I do it, it is always a welcome addition. You may notice the female characters in the gameplay section. Well, that's because Razor's Edge allows you to to play as a total of 4 characters. Ryu, Hayabusa, and Ayane are playable in story mode, while Momiji and Kasumi can also be played during chapter select. By the way, no chapter select in the vanilla version, so if you want to play through the game but only go for a specific chapter, you have to start a new save file. But if you go with Razor's Edge, as long as you've beaten the chapter, all of them are available to play with any character. You can even play Ayane stages with Ryu and Ryu stages with Ayane. The only difference is that there's no evil stages when you play any of the female protagonists, which is not that big of an issue. Also, speaking of big, yes, Razor's Edge also gives you the revolutionary ability to control female breast physics. This has no bearing into the gameplay at all, but hey, Ninja Gaiden said in their live universe they had to boost the sexual appeal somehow. Since the Wii U has this gigantic oversized controller, the gyroscope is used to independently move the female character's boobs, and it follows pretty much one-to-one to how the player moves them. I guess this is a good time to mention that for the PS3 and Wii U versions, you can use the Wii Remote and Nunchuck and the PlayStation Move as a controller. But why would you want to do that? Though to be fair, Vanilla Ninja Gaiden 3 also lets you use the PlayStation Move. This is pointless! Honestly, it's no contest. Razor's Edge makes it a lot more challenging and makes it more rewarding to beat the enemies. The new additions are welcome and makes replayability more fun rather than a chore. The freaking menu looks a lot more appealing. Seriously, who the hell thought sideways head tilting was a good idea? Razor's Edge improves so much from Vanilla Ninja Gaiden 3, it makes the original completely obsolete. That is my final notes for the gameplay, and as for the presentation, yeah, there's barely any difference. Everything from character models, UI, and stage layouts are pretty much the exact same.
I'm gonna stop. That's pretty much it for Ninja Gaiden 3 versus Razor's Edge. I'm sorry if I'm awfully negative throughout this review, though, but you have to understand how absolutely horrible Ninja Gaiden 3 was. Plus, I hope you guys also realize that most of my performances is overly exaggerated. Well, except for being drunk, maybe. This is actually the first time I've drank beer on set. Ugh. I don't know if I should do this again. I think this is a very bad idea, and I should not drunken up, even for comedy. Do that? I don't know. You guys decide. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you guys think I should be drunk more, if you think this is a good persona type that I should... what is this? Angry Orchid, yeah, okay. I could be like the angry video game, the angry orchid version of the angry video game nerd. Something, I don't know. Anyways, leave your thoughts. If you like the video, like it. If you dislike it, I don't fucking care, whatever. just a reminder, this is not how I actually act in real life. At least I hope I don't. I'm reading the script. I'm reading the damn script over here. It's just... my brain. Yes. I'm seeing colors. I'm seeing doubles. Anyways, I upload Compare and Contrast every Wednesdays. Hopefully I'll sober up by next week. Don't worry. Next week is going to be a lot less painful comparing these two games. That is still annoying. What the hell? Why is this thing still... Can I fix you? There we go. There we go. That's how you fix things. Her. She's an angel. What the f am I saying? I'm just gonna end this video right now.